Hi, I'm Kathy Thompson. I'm Associate Director of the HHMI Fellowship Program. Congratulations on your new fellowship. This short video is designed to familiarize you with the guidelines and rules that fellows are expected to follow, and also let you know about how you can access your stipend and your research funds. The first thing you'll find in your packet is my business card, with my phone number and my email address and my office number, and you're welcome to stop by anytime or contact me anytime you have a question or concern about the program. The next thing in your packet is your award letter, and you should look that over and make sure all the details are correct. You received the funding for the period of time that you requested. So if you requested a calendar year's worth of fellowship funding, then your award should be $6,000. Research supply funds are capped at $1,500. So if you ask for more, you received up to $1,500. If you ask for less, we usually round up to the nearest $100. The other important thing in the letter is the URL for the HHMI Fellowship Program, because you can download all of these forms and guidelines that I'm going to show you from the website if you misplace your hard copy. The next form in your packet is a flyer for our HHMI programs. The Undergraduate Fellowship Program is the largest component of our program, but we have several other activities that are also funded off of our grant from the Howard Hughes Medical Institute. We have an outreach program called Jumpstart for high school students. We have a seminar for freshmen called the Catalyst Seminar that gets them oriented towards research. We have capstone travel awards, which give you up to $1,000 to present your results at scientific meetings. And we also have a number of curriculum development initiatives in the Undergraduate Biological Sciences program. This is the capstone form. So if you find a conference that you would like to attend and present your results at, you just fill this out about a month or so before you travel, and we can provide up to $1,000 to defray the costs of your registration, your airfare, hotel bills, meals, things like that. Make sure you mention this to your advisor, because almost all faculty members go to at least 1 or 2 conferences a year, and if they know you have your own source of funds to go along, then they can let you know when the deadline for submitting abstracts is. All right, so most of what I'm going to tell you is in this document called Guidelines for Undergraduate Research Fellows. It's updated from time to time and posted on the web, so if you have a question in the future, you may want to look back and get the most recent copy so you know what the rules are. Most of this deals with how you access your funding. So I'm going to start with how you access your stipend and then move on to how you access your research supply funds. All the things that have to do with money for our program are handled through the College of CMNS Business Office, which is located on the 2nd floor of Simons Hall. We have separate staff members that deal with the payroll issues and with ordering supplies and travel, and their names and contact information are listed in this document. For the month of December of 2012, our usual payroll officer, Maggie Gray, is going to be out of the office, so substituting for her will be Judy Lung, and her contact information is also in this version of the document, so make sure you go to the right place when it comes time to get on payroll. The payroll is handled as an hourly wage. That's basically the only way the university gives us to give you guys money. So we put you on the HHMI payroll, and some of you may have been on the payroll previously in another department or with another position, but for the sake of those of you who aren't familiar with the payroll system, I'm going to explain it in a little bit more detail. So you have an electronic timesheet. It's located at timesheets.umd.edu, and you're going to keep track of the hours you work on your project over a 2-week period. The pay period starts on a Sunday and ends on a Saturday 2 weeks later. And for every day, you have the ability to put in the time you start and the time you end. And you can do this multiple times. So if you come in at 10 a.m. and leave at 11 a.m. and come back in at 1 p.m. and leave at 3 p.m., you can add in extra time slices. Or you can just put down what time you start at the beginning, what time you end at the end, and subtract out time for lunch or going to class. Try to keep track of your hours on a regular basis, like ideally every day that you work. Try not to let 2 weeks go by and get to the end of the pay period and try to recreate from memory what you've been doing over the past couple of weeks. You have a lot of flexibility in how you use your hours. So we set up your stipend based on you working an average of 10 to 12 hours per week during the school year and about 30 hours a week during the summertime. So that's where we get the amounts of $1,500 for each semester and $3,000 for the summer. But we put aside the whole lump sum at the beginning, so you can use that money as quickly or as slowly as you want to. And we understand there's an ebb and flow to research and there's an ebb and flow to academics as well. So as long as your mentor is okay with your schedule, you're free to work less hours some weeks and more hours other weeks. We do have an upper limit to the hours you can work during the academic year. That's 20 hours per week. And that's because you're a full-time student in the eyes of the IRS. So they expect you to be mostly focusing on your schoolwork and not working lots and lots and lots of hours. You actually have special tax standing, so you don't have payroll taxes withheld and Social Security and stuff like that. If you work more than 20 hours a week, then they reconsider your standing as a full-time student and you may find yourself paying more taxes. So our program rules are that you have to keep to 20 hours or less. During breaks from school, so winter term, spring break, and during the summertime, you can work up to 40 hours per week. You should also be aware that the amount of your stipend is based on you working that 10 to 12 hours a week during the academic year, 30 hours a week in the summer. So if you consistently work more hours than that during the academic year and summer, then you're going to run out of money before your fellowship year is up. And at that point, you don't get any more money until it's time to renew at the end of the year. So keep that in mind. When your funding does run out, you are able to go on other sources of funding. So if your mentor has research grant money that can support you, it's fine to do that. You're still considered a part of the HHMI fellowship program. There's a whole bunch of paperwork that you're going to need to fill out to get on payroll. If you've been on payroll before in another part of campus, you've already gone through all this paperwork, and you'll just need to get copies of that paperwork and make sure that it's brought over to the CMNS business office, because every office that pays you needs a copy of that paperwork. If you've never been on payroll, you're going to have to fill it out, and those documents are available from the HHMI website, and they're also available from either the payroll office or Judy Lung's office in the second floor of Simons Hall. So the forms consist of a W-4 tax withholding form, an I-9 form, which is proof of your eligibility to be employed in the United States, so it requires presenting some form of ID like a driver's license and a Social Security card. There's another form called the Citizenship Status Form for students who are not U.S. citizens, and then finally there's a direct deposit form which ensures that your paycheck goes into your bank account. The direct deposit form takes a few pay periods to kick into effect. So at that beginning period, you'll still get paper checks that will show up in the payroll office on the second floor of Simons. It's your responsibility to make sure that all this paperwork is filled out before you can start accessing your stipend. So make sure that you don't waste time or wait till the last minute to start doing this, so that when you're ready to start working on your project, you can start recording your hours. I can't remember whether I mentioned it at the beginning, but the way the timesheets are submitted, it's every 2 weeks. They are due on a Monday right after the pay period is ended at noon. So I send out an email on Thursday right towards the end of the pay period. You're to submit the timesheets and sign off on them by noon Monday. I go in either Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning to make sure that everybody's within the guidelines. When I approve them, that triggers the payment process, and you get paid 3 weeks later. So it's actually a 5-week delay from the time you start at the beginning of the pay period until the time you get your first check, which is a long time, but after that you get your paycheck every 2 weeks. I'm going to move on now to talking about the research supply funding, and it's handled fairly similarly to the stipends. We have a pool of money that's set aside for you, and as you place orders, it's subtracted from the pool of money that you were awarded. That's done by Fabiola Maharas. She places all the orders. She keeps track of your funding balances. I'm going to show you a copy of the form that's used for that. So the order form is also in your packet. It's actually an Excel spreadsheet, and you can download the file from the HHMI website, or you can just make photocopies of the copy that you received in your packet. The important things on the form, the vendor contact information so that we can place the order, the ship to address, make sure it's going to your lab and not showing up in the business office, because we don't have freezers or animal care facilities or anything like that. The item number and a brief description, so we're sure that we're ordering the right thing, and obviously the quantity. You don't have to worry so much about the costs, because usually we get a price break so that what you see on a website or in a catalog of the cost is not usually what we pay. The other thing that's important is the requester and phone number. So you want to put your name there so we know whose account it comes out of, and then a contact number so that we can check if there's some sort of problem with your order. Maybe something's out of stock or they want to make a substitution. We can't make that decision. We want to get a hold of you or someone in your lab who can answer that question so that we order what it is you actually need. Anything else on the form that you're not sure how to fill out, just leave blank and we'll take care of that. The last part of the guidelines deal with our expectations for you as an HHMI fellow. And basically, we love to facilitate your work and we try not to put anything too onerous on you. But there are a few things that we do expect. One is participation in our yearly research symposium, and that takes place near the beginning of the spring semester, usually in late February, early March. Everybody's expected to give a poster presentation. But this year, since you're just starting, you're not expected to give a presentation this year. So next year, if you're still at Maryland, we'll expect to be hearing from you. But since you're so early in the process, you're not required to give a presentation. If you've given a presentation in the past, or if you have data that you'd like to share, that would be great. We strongly encourage you to do that. Even if you don't give a presentation this year, we hope that you'll attend the symposium and see what the other fellows are doing. We always have a nice dinner following the poster presentations, and we invite back an alumnus of the program to talk about career paths and things they've learned along the way. The second thing that we require is a semester progress report, and this is really, really short. It's a web-based form. It only takes about 5 minutes or so to fill out, and it's basically headline news. So did you make any major breakthroughs? Did you give any presentations? Did you win any awards? Did you publish any papers? That kind of a thing. That helps us know what's going on in the program so that when we make our reports to the HHMI, we can tell them how their money's been spent. Then there's a service expectation, and the logic behind this is that you are very privileged in that you are getting paid to do something that most students don't get a chance to do at all. So we hope that you'll share your enthusiasm with science with others outside the scientific research community. We have lots of opportunities for you to do that, sitting on panels for prospective student open houses or speaking to students in our high school outreach program. You can also participate in campus tutoring programs for local school children, and there's a wide variety of programs that are going on, and we try to let you know by email whenever we hear about something that would be appropriate. Finally, at the end of it all, you owe us a final report. If you're doing an honors thesis, you can turn that in. If you're submitting a manuscript for publication, you can turn that in. Otherwise, you need to write a report, introduction, methods, results, and discussion. You're halfway there because your proposal has an introduction and methods section to it already. So we do need some sort of formal documentation of what you accomplished as an HHMI fellow. And finally, when you do publish your paper or present results at a meeting, the HHMI has a specific blurb that they want you to include, and that's written out in the guidelines, so you just need to cut and paste it from that to give appropriate acknowledgement. That's it. If you have any questions about the program, don't hesitate to contact me. And remember to watch part 2 that deals with the formal acceptance of the award and the document that you need to sign.